All right. Good morning. I'm gonna start this with a statement to kind of get us in the right frame of mind for the class. Okay. Um, I ask my present self to release judgment of all myselves, past, present, and future. I bring all myselves in and thank them for serving me while I'm here on this plane. May they all evolve and continue to serve my greater purpose and destiny. Mine is still going. hmm Thank you. Okay, so in the description of the class, I asked that whoever is taking it read the book called The Kabbalion. Okay, if you didn't read it, that's okay. It's important to know that then they mention it in the book as well. The principles mentioned in the Kabbalion are ripped from ancient Kemet. Most, if not all, Greek, Roman mythology, philosophy, mathematics, everything, everything that they have. They went into Kemet, into the temples, and they learned it from Kemetic priests, scientists, priestesses, um, so on and so forth. Okay. They were taken straight from the walls of ancient Kemetic temples, laboratories, schools. This right here is the spirit science of our ancestors. Okay. And we see them passed down even in our lines through superstitions and beliefs that were given to us from our grandparents and beyond that affirm that this is our spirit science. Okay. Um, I'm pretty sure you've all heard your grandmothers or grandfathers say things to you that let you know that if you think it and if you believe it, you can conceive it. It can become reality. However they word it, however they phrased it, you've heard them say it. Um, in some way, shape, or form. So essentially, transmutation is the process of alchemizing your emotions from your emotions and your mental state from one frame to another. Okay. Essentially, it's dimension jumping. Okay. Jumping from one dimension to another. All right. Y'all may not notice I'm a sci-fi head. Anything sci-fi, fantasy, um, creatures, monsters, in on that. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to know it. Um, so I'm real big on making a lot of those uh, physics concepts uh, tangible and easily digestible. For me, I have to change things into layman's terms in order for me to even begin to grasp it. Because if you start talking to me about, you know, advanced mathematical terms, advanced scientific terms, I'm going to ask you to break that down into pieces and parts. So essentially what I did with the concept of transmutation, I spent years applying it to my life and and now that I'm years applying it to my life, and now that I'm comfortable sharing my experience with the concept and the idea and how it applies to me, I want to share that with y'all. So I'm going to start this by saying I've been started it, but I want to say that all through my childhood and my teens and my 20s, my body was, I was a literal ball of walking anxiety. Okay. Um, that has, I mean, it had a lot to do with experiences throughout my childhood. Um, not being myself, and then told over the course of the years that myself was not good enough or not right or not proper, incorrect. Um, it made me very hesitant to express myself fully. And not just hesitant to express myself fully to the world, but hesitant to express myself fully to even myself, right? Um, and so when I was about 21 years old, I made a conscious decision to go out and just explore, just figure out who I am outside of everybody telling me that I'm wrong for being me, right? Um, Still would wake up with crippling anxiety. So from 21 to about 26, 25, 21 to 25, I was traveling the world, still super anxious, a lot of depression. My body just filled with all these ailments, these mental health challenges, and not knowing what to do with myself. Um, I was living with one of my cousins, and we had a falling out. So I moved into my own apartment, and that was the first time that I was able to kind of really get into myself, get into who I really am and what I really feel and the things that are going on around me. And I started to have these intense spiritual experiences. I was seeing energies walk through my walls. And I have seen things like this my whole life, but it got more intense when I was in my own space by myself. And I'm seeing things walk through the walls. Um, I am hearing not sounds, but a knowing in my head, in my mind. I'm feeling a knowing in my body and hearing the knowing in my mind. All right. Not necessarily voices, but just the words would come to me to do certain things. Get a cup, right? Put some cinnamon, some basils, and just I'm in the cabinet and get that, get that, get that. So I'm grabbing things out the cabinet and putting it in my cup. Yeah, I didn't think I was crazy. I knew that if I told someone that they might say that I was crazy, right? But I didn't think that I was crazy because this it had been going on my whole life. I just went through a very long period of ignoring it, right? Not paying attention to it. My intuition, my emotions, my feelings, pushing them to the side, even though I knew what I was feeling was for me to know. It wasn't wrong. I wasn't a nut. It was nothing wrong with my mind. I'm sharp. I'm smart. I know things, right? And not know things as in, oh, I know that, you know, so and so down the street is having an affair with someone. Like, I don't know things like that, but I know what I need to know for me. um, so I started listening to these knowings, and I talked to one friend of mine about it, and she let me go with her to this lady's house who was her name is Shifa. She's a healer. She made products at the time. I don't know what she does anymore, but she made products. Really beautiful woman, skincare products. And we went to a meeting she was having, and she told us, after the meeting, I want y'all to come with me back to my house. I would like for y'all to stay with me at my house and, just kind of kick it. And we was like, all right, cool, no problem. I trusted her because this was my homegirl and I trusted my homegirl. So we went to the woman's house and she let me go through her library. And I said, this is what I have been looking for. She had every occult book that you could think of. Helena Blavatsky, Manly P. Hall, the white occultist, the black occultist, just a whole bunch of different books, historical books that I had grown up with. Um, so I'm going through and I see this book called The Kabbalion, and I said, The Kabbalion, what the fuck is that? And it had a symbol on the front of it, and I'm like, I know that symbol. I've seen that before. I think I've seen it on Charms, and I used to watch Charms religiously when I was younger. So I pulled it off, the power of three. You always know you a witch, like since you a kid, it always comes up for you, right? And you can't tell everybody because they're gonna be like, you ain't, but you feel it, you know who you are. So, I'm like, I know that symbol. So I took the book off the shelf, um, and she let me borrow it. She said, you can take that. You can. She said, I don't like giving out my books because people never return them, but you can borrow it. Just please make sure you bring it back. I said, okay, I'll bring it back. I don't think I ever took that lady back her book because I never saw her again. I might have gave it to my friend to give. Anyway, long story short, in the book, there are 7 hermetic principles mentioned. The first one is transmutation. Okay. And that was the key to unlocking the cure to my anxiety and my depression. All right. Um, Yeah, it is. I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about the newer seasons, but maybe because I'm old now. Maybe I'm just used to the original. You know how it get when you get older, and that's the new stuff. Anyway, so um yeah, so I'm gonna start the presentation, and as we're going through the presentation, I'll share stories related to how I shifted myself into a new dimension out of a constant state of anxiety and depression into a state of gratitude and fullness of self. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let me open the chat because y'all, Witches of East Haven. I never watched that. I'm gonna start watching it though. There you go, share screen. I don't know why I always forget where share screen is at. Entire screen share. Okay, where we at? All right, here we go. Okay. Before we get started, do y'all have any questions?
I was just going to ask you if you would go over transmutation again. So no, I'm right where yeah.
Okay, good. All right. All right, transmutation, guiding the mind with will and spirit. Okay, taken directly from the Kabbalion, mind as well as metals and elements may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. True hermetic transmutation is a mental art. Okay, what does that mean to you? What do you think that means?
Well, for me, it feels like it's like everything is connected. Almost like it's not like complete separations. Like in a way, you're all connected. And it all can be in you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. We are Okay, so we tend to think of our experiences as linear, right? It travels in a line from beginning to end. But the truth is, our experiences are not linear. They're a circle, and they also separate from circle to a wave. And sometimes those experiences are also chaos. So it's not a line or a circle or a wave, but it's some bullshit all over the place, right? So what this is saying, what I gather from this is we can shift from a line, right? Which is the illusion. We can shift from a line, which is the illusion, to a circle, which is completion, right? To a wave, which is a journey, right? It's a up and down. It's a ebb and flow, right? To chaos, which is we don't know whether we coming or going, right? And for some of us, when you recognize where you are in that spectrum, you can untangle those knots, you can cut that circle, you can straighten out that wave, right? And then you can turn everything back into chaos again if that's what you need to do, right? So this is state to state, right? From hot to cold, state to state, liquid to gas, right? Degree to degree, 360 to 720, 720 back to 180, condition to condition, poverty to wealth, wealth to poverty, you right? Middle ground to outer space, something totally not even dealing with anything that you're used to, right? Pole to pole, north to south, vibration to vibration, right? And I don't like the terminology low vibrational to equate to something negative, okay? Rocks have a low vibration. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with a rock, right? Um, Depending on the rock, right? Um, if you were to put, because you can measure vibration with sound equipment, right? If you were to put your sound equipment to say the river, what would that sound like? Would it be very high pitched, like a high vibration, or would it be low pitched, like a low vibration? We don't know, right? If you put the sound waves to us in our depressed state, how would our spirit talk? What would it sound like, right? So, all right. Okay, so the word hermetic, okay, because you see that in the Kybalion a lot, hermetic principles. Hermetic means esoteric. Esoteric just means secret, right? It means something secret and sacred that a lot of people don't know. Cryptic. Cryptic means it's coded, right? It's not direct. You're not going to get it in a very direct way. Hermetic also is an airtight seal or closure. There's something I forgot to say before I started this class that I need to say right now. Hold on. I always forget to give my disclaimer. So sorry. Okay. Legal disclaimers. In attending this class, it is automatically assumed that you agree to keep all information shared during this workshop confidential and sacred. It is automatically assumed that you understand that this is for entertainment purposes only, and any health challenges must be addressed by your medical doctor. Thank you for coming into this space. Thank you to our collective ancestors for bringing us together in this space. I hope you get something useful out of the time that we had together. Okay. Now I can go back to where I was. Okay. All right. An airtight seal or closure. One of the things that I don't think we do enough of is cover the information that we have. Um, so when you engage in circles like this, just like our ancestors did, we know that this information is for us, it's for our descendants. It is being gifted to us by our ancestors through the ways that we intuit, right? And the information that we receive from our elders. So, just to give an example of what hermetic means, alchemy is the power or process that changes something from one state to another. So, transmutation is an alchemical process. Okay. The first step in engaging in the transmutation process is to fill your mind with beauty and culture. Okay. Where do you find beauty and culture? To be in nature, right? Learn the culture of the trees, learn the culture of the rain. Do you know the rain cycle, right? Are you familiar with the rain cycle? Do you know, or do you recall it? Do you reflect on the rain cycle when you're watching the rain? Are you engaging with the process of the rain? Do you smell it? right? Do you feel it? Do you go out and feel it on your skin? Do you see what it feels like under your feet, right? The trees, when they sway in the wind, do they all go in the same direction, right? Are they talking to you? Can you tell them your secrets? And if you do they talk back? Are they talking shit about you with each other, right? You want to know these things. And you can't know these things unless you go out in nature, all right? Stop being scared of the bugs. I know that spoke to a few of y'all. Stop being afraid of the bugs. It's essentially a process of training your body to react to them differently. Instead of jumping and ducking and running and hiding, stand there. Them bugs they're more afraid of you than you are of them. Okay? And this is, have you ever been so bothered or down about a situation, right? And this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about how a lot of the things that we deal with are like the bugs outside. We duck and run from these things that make us uncomfortable or challenge us. Um, Instead of ducking and running, stand there, stand in that fear, and let that fear grip you the way it grips you and makes you want to run. But instead of running, train your body to have a different reaction than flight. Fight the fear, work through the fear. That bug is more afraid of you than you are of it. You are bigger than them, you are stronger than them. So if you replace that fear with love, you can literally encourage those bugs to be your allies instead of your enemy. Like now that you're defending yourself against it, now it has to defend itself against you, instead of how can we learn from each other? How can I learn your culture? Right, Mr. Bug? Except for roaches, kill all them bitches. Okay? Um, but essentially, if you've ever been down about something, you decided to give it to God, right? Like, you know what? I'm gonna just give it to God and keep it pushing. I'm gonna just give it to Yemajah and keep it pushing. I'm gonna just give it to Allah. I'm gonna give it to the Orisha. I'm gonna give it to my ancestors, my Agun, and I'm gonna keep it pushing, right? So you go on about your day, taking care of yourself, taking care of your affairs, and then because you not even, well, you don't know that that's why sometimes, but the shit just works itself out. You watched your situation transform into something helpful, into something beneficial, into an opportunity. What that was you unconsciously transmuting your circumstances by getting out of your head and into your body and believing that those things would be shifted. Okay. So we're about to go over how to do this at will. And the first step is to get yourself into places of beauty and places of culture. Okay. Of course, culture being how people commune with each other and create their art and their language and all that. But we don't think of that in terms of nature. And we have to start if we're going to be transmuting energy. Okay. You are not alone. Does anybody? Okay, well, you know, who wants to read archetypes?
I can.
Okay,
It's archetypes of patterned self passed down from the ancestors that exist in the collective human consciousness. Do you want me to
okay.
read the other ones too, or just the
Yeah,
definition?
okay, you can read those too.
Okay. Let's see. The lover, the healer, the doormat, the people pleaser, the ruler, the rebel, the manipulator, the careless, the orphan, the victim, the creator, the self sabotaging, the magician, the disagreeable, the fearful, the egoist, the
Mm-hmm.
hero, the flake, the domineer, the villain, the caregiver, the martyr, tell them what they want to hear person.
Okay, so in all of us, in every last one of us, exists several archetypes at one
Mm.
time. Okay, um, okay. Whoever you think you are, 9 times out of 10, you're not just that. You might not even be any of that, right? So the point of pointing out, or the point of recognizing which archetypes exist in us, is to find out who our representative is, which is the person we feel comfortable showing everybody, right? Who our true self is, which for some of us is a person or a energy that we have trapped in a cage in our inside ourselves, waiting to get out, right? Um, who the ego is, what archetype represents your ego, right? Does your ego flare up violent and loud, or is it quiet and calculating, right? Is it thinking about how to protect you through manipulation? Is it trying to figure out how to protect you through violence, right? Or all of the above, right? So you want to find out which archetypes exist in you. Some of these archetypes I got from Carl Jung's um, archetype list. Okay. Um, I believe he has 12 archetypes that he came up with after I believe it was after he traveled to India, I believe it was, to study with the Hindus, to study with Indian philosophers and scientists, spirit scientists, priests, and so on. And that is how he came through with a lot of the psychology theories that he came up with, or that he came back with from the East. Okay. So, okay. What archetypes do you have installed in you? How to know who's driving your bus. You want to ask yourself 3 questions, all right? And y'all can write the ones written down on the slide down, but I do want you to write down the ones I'm about to say as well, okay? 1, how do I perceive myself in my totality? How do I perceive myself in my totality? 2, how do others perceive the fragments of myself that I share? How do others perceive the fragments of myself that I share? 3, how comfortable am I with deeply observing the uncomfortable aspects of myself that I rarely visit? If y'all need me to repeat anything, let me know.
Yeah, the last one.
Okay. How comfortable am I with deeply observing the uncomfortable aspects of myself that I rarely visit? All right. So I used to be a tell them what they want to hear ass bitch. Okay. I was a people pleaser. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everybody to have good memories about me and feelings about me. And, I didn't want to be uh, fucked up in people's eyes, right? So my perception of myself was very skewed because I was working so hard to attempt perfection, which for a person like me is impossible. When I say person like me, I mean there's no way for me to try to be a symbol of perfection in this world, in any world, in any dimension. But back in the day, back in my teens and my 20s, especially my 20s, I really wanted to be I want it to be considered well. When I was 26 years old, when I got into my own place, I kept having all these really dope and profound and painful experiences with people where I was the villain in their story and they were the villain in mine, right? And I didn't know what to do with that because I wasn't really used to being a villain in nobody's story. Not the kind of villain I wanted, I was fine with upsetting people, but I never wanted to be a villain, right? And so I had to sit with who's driving, who's in the front seat of this shit, right? Who's driving this bus? Is this bus even moving? And I realized that the archetype that was driving my bus was the lover, the healer, which is one end of the pole, right? The other end of the pole, I'm the doormat and the people pleaser, right? So once I realized, okay, I'm the villain in somebody's story, now what? Then the ruler and the rebel came out of me. That's the new archetype that I manifested, right? I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm the villain, and okay, I'll be the bad guy. And that also brought out characteristics stronger. It brought out stronger my characteristics of manipulation, right? And carelessness, right? And even down the lover and the healer is just like the caregiver. That's the martyr, right? Tell them what they want to hear, right? Um, I've had to work through the orphan and the victim. This year was my first year really experiencing no, not my first year. I had a period where I experienced this one right here, this orphan slash victim archetype. What I did here was I put these archetypes at what their poles are, what the spectrum is from one end to the from A to Z, and then you have everything in between A and Z. So at one end of the creator, you have the sabotager, the self-sabotager. At one end of the hero, you have the villain or the flake or the domineer, right? At one end of the magician, the opposite end of it is the disagreeable one, the one who knows everything, the scared one, who's scared of their power, right? And then you have the egoist, the one who lets that ego run them because they got to be right all the time and nobody can challenge them, right? So, which archetypes do you have installed in your psyche? You figure out who's driving your bus. Who is your representative when you go forth? When you go forth into this world and you meet people for the first time, who is speaking on your behalf? All right? The archetype that you have installed that's running the show, do they need to go to the back of the bus and take a nap? Right? Who of your archetypes is waiting to be let out the cage? Maybe you ain't going off on these motherfuckers like you need to. So, the mean one that you don't let out needs to be let out. She needs to get the opportunity to freely express herself, okay? So that you can set your boundaries, right? Hold on, let me unshare this real quick so I can talk to y'all. Okay. So, yeah. Which one needs to be released? Okay. Most of the archetypes that we know, right, consciously are the ones given to us by the patriarchy, right? There are older archetypes, older than the priestess. I can't. Are you talking to me, Charlotta? Okay. Older than the
Sorry, that
priestess.
was my
No,
son.
you good. You good. You good. older than the priestess, right? Older than the healer, right? Older than the whore, right? Older than the queen, older than all of them, right? I don't know what they are, right? Hopefully one day they'll reveal themselves to me and I can we might even, it might be a mushroom archetype. It might be a function that the mushroom had 600 million years ago that it doesn't have right now. That is an archetype of a feminine archetype, right? Or a masculine archetype, or a non-binary archetype, right? Things that don't exist within the gender spectrum at all, right? Um, there's a fourth question that I forgot to say earlier, but it's important to know which archetypes represent you, which ones came as a result of your trauma, okay? Which ones came as a result of your joy and happiness, right? Because some of them, the people pleaser one, might have came up during childhood because you saw how everybody reacted when you did exactly what they wanted, right? Versus how they reacted to you when you did what you wanted to do, right? When you do what you want to do, everybody mad. Ain't nobody really fucking with you right now. Oh, she ain't. She on some other shit, right? So you fall back into old habits because it's easier to get along, right? Who's the archetype that don't care about getting along? That's the one you need to pull to the front seat. That's the one that needs to kick that bitch out. Go take a nap, ho. Grab her by a collar, send her to the back. Go take a nap. You've done enough. Thank you for your service. We appreciate everything you did for us. Go ahead on to the back, right? Another part of this is addressing some of the mental health challenges. I'm not a professional. I am just a crazy bitch who knows what works for her. Okay? That's it. I'm just a person who has gone through things, been through things, and I know what works for me, and I'm sharing what works for me, and I hope that it works for you. That's it. I'm not saying this as law. I'm not stating facts. I'm not stating truth. I'm just sharing my truth, which may not be anybody else's, right? So I want to say that. Your representative is tired. Thank them for their service. They have done enough. They want to sleep, but they feel like you need them. Let them know I don't need you to represent me anymore. I can represent myself. I'm strong enough. Trust me, I'm strong enough. I got it. I can handle it. Just if you don't think I can handle it, you come right back to the front. Some representatives got to be massaged to the back because they not going without a fight, right? For me, I literally have to manipulate myself. Early on, I had to manipulate myself into being myself. Whenever I would face challenging situations, confrontations, things that were uncomfortable for me, it was easy to be like, I need my people pleaser. Come on. Okay, okay. I'll do what you say. I'll do what you need. I'll give you what you ask for, you know. And I had to literally sit in the discomfort of confrontation, sit in the discomfort of all the things that made me uncomfortable that I thought my representative was protecting me from, right? But she wasn't protecting me from anything. I was putting my own self in harm's way by allowing her to represent me because I didn't have clear boundaries. You could talk to me any kind of way, and I just would take it, right? I just would be like, all right, well, they didn't mean it no kind of way. No, that bitch was trying to hurt your feelings. Let her know that you can't be talked to like that. These were my specific challenges. What are some of your specific challenges that your representative steps in to protect you from?
For me, it's
Self-sabotage.
definitely. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, you cool. I was getting ready to say that next. I do that all the time too. Go right ahead.
Yeah, one of my main ones is self-sabotage. Um, because I'm very hard on myself and I don't give myself room for forgiveness And it just it's like it's the fear of failing, like
Mm-hmm.
I know I have all this knowledge and stuff that I need to share and need to start doing what I need to do, but then my mind gets to going like, okay, well, what if this doesn't work? What if the people don't like it? And the people pleaser, what if the people don't like it? What if it's, this, that, and the third? So it's a lot of self sabotage, and that's one of the ones that I really have a hard time pushing to the back. That one, and
Mm-hmm.
the people pleaser one, because I always want to do what the people like, but it's at some point it's just kind of like, okay, you just need to go ahead and do what you need to do and stop worrying about what pleases everybody else if it's putting you in a state that you are not pleasing yourself. Yourself is not pleasing to you. So that's sometimes that one comes out real strong for me. um
Let me ask you something. When did you first notice that need to please others? Like, was it something from childhood where you were like, you know what, if I do this their way, I won't get a beating, I won't get a whipping? Like, what was that experience for you, the first one where you knew you were conscious of that people pleasing characteristic?
well, at that time I didn't notice it because I wasn't thinking about it, but it was pretty much the decision I made to go to college. That was to please my family. um that really wasn't the route that I wanted to take, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
um, if I had it would be pleasing to them. Number one, because I was the first grandchild on my mother's side. I'm the first to do everything. I'm the first to get married, the first to have a baby, the first to go to college. I was the first. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like, it wasn't a set expectation, but it was like a felt expectation that they wanted me to do. And thus far I was the first to graduate college. It was so just I know that right there was the trigger of um that people pleasing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What would you have done if you did what you wanted to do?
I think I would have still I would have started, in high school they call it a college completer or a career completer. I think I would have, gone to I would have did what they call the VOTEC, and not necessarily gone to a 4-year university, because my gear right now is more um, holistic. So I think I would have got to the same place. I just would have took probably a different route. Now, who's to say I might still would have ended up going to a 4-year university, but I don't know if I would have did it right out of high school, because I never, because of me having the expectation, like it was a certain way I was supposed to act. I never really got to have those childhood moments where I got to hang out all the time with my friends, or,
Mm-hmm.
just go do wild stuff every once in a while. I missed all of that. Like I had my circle, my group of girlfriends, that from high school that we are still friends today. But,
Mm-hmm.
it was a different, um, I just didn't get to do all the things that I felt like I wanted to do or should have done to help me grow more so. Um, my mother calls it more common sense than book sense. You know what I mean? So, so I had a lot of book sense, but being out in the world, I really didn't get that grasp of having that street knowledge until I was getting ready to go to college. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot in college, though, because I pretty much felt, I was kind of sheltered. And then when I got to college, like, okay, y'all not here now. So I'm on my own making these decisions. And some were good, some were not so good, but I learned from all of them. But I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I missed that, those last couple of years of high school, um, because I had this expectation, like you're supposed to act in a certain way.
Right. Right. Yeah. My story is very similar. I was very sheltered. Got pushed in like, all right, you going to college? I was like, what about I want to join the Peace Corps. You going to college? Where you want to go? I don't know. All right, well, you going to Central because it's close to Durham and we know a lot of people there. You know, the whole, directing other people directing my moves instead of
Yeah.
being fully autonomous in my choices.
Right.
So,
And I
mhm,
felt that same. Well, it was kind of the same for me because I applied to one college, and that was Hampton University, because
mhm,
they had a good nursing program, you know, at that time. They still do. But and my parents were okay with it because my uncle, my father's brother, lived in Newport News.
mhm,
So it was kind of like, well, you're gonna be away from home, but you still got family down there, if you
mhm,
need it. Um,
right.
so that was kind of it. Like, but that's, like you said, like I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go if I wanted to go. I originally wanted to go into the Air Force, but at
Mhm,
the time I graduated high school, I was only 17, and my
mhm,
parents had to sign for me. And my father, who was an Army vet, he was like, "No, none of my daughters are going in the military." And I said,
mhm.
"Okay." That was that. So
Right.
I ended up applying to Hampton, and that was it.
Mhm. Well, I tell you what, I know. Oh, go ahead, Yolanda.
It's, I'm just saying it's very, my my childhood is very traumatizing. So I was in a dysfunctional family, but on my mother's side was very big, large.
Mhm,
And so it was a lot of pressure by me being the middle child, uh, to be more like my older sister, who was more sophisticated and she carried herself so different. But all the cousins, like in my age group, were very talented. They stayed in church. They did. I was always the left one, like
mhm,
very extremely sheltered because it was such a large family. I didn't interact with anybody but my family. So
mhm,
all I knew was my cousins. So growing up, making those decisions in high school, like I said, being in a dysfunctional family, it was like, okay, your sister's doing this, you're going to follow her footsteps, um, because it's just easier that way. And I wasn't as smart as her. And every time I wanted to do certain things because I was being abused at the same time in
mhm,
every way, physically, sexually, verbally, mentally.
Mm.
It was a lot going on, and making those types of decisions like college was a way to escape. So it was
mhm,
like, okay, I want to go to college, but I didn't really pay attention in high school a lot because I was so busy looking for a boyfriend so I can get out of being abused and maybe get married like everybody in the family did at 18. But it was an escape to get out. So it was like holding on to see what everybody else was doing, trying to do that. I wanted to go into the military as well, but I got pregnant. Didn't know and because I was raped, I didn't know if it was my ex-boyfriend, it was a rape. I didn't know. I had ran away from home. Again, abusive situation. And though that
mhm,
pattern was just like in everything I did, it was people pleasing because I wanted to be accepted. So it wasn't until I'm 45, it was, well, 45 in a week, but it was just recently where I've learned and understood all this cycle going through. The more dominant characteristics were because of dysfunction. So I don't even know who I am. I'm so all over the place. I relate to all of those characteristics all the
mhm,
time. So if you can imagine, I'm pretty fucked up. Like I don't know if I'm going or coming sometimes. And just now recently being able to balance and recognize and work through a lot of that so that I can get down to this is who I am. I like doing this. I notice when I don't listen to you all or when I don't take your advice, I do really good. Actually, I do great. But when I listen to you all, shit just starts, it falls apart. But all I know is my family. So now I'm at a point where I'm
That's not all
seeing
you
who I
know.
am, I'm recognizing things. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just like sorting through so much, and it's like that self-discovery now is different people that has been put in my path, and I feel that was my ancestors' way of kind of guiding me to see, okay, you need to separate and you need to go this way. So now holistic and practice and hoodoo practitioner healing, I just noticed that those characteristics, those aspects were always there, but all this dysfunction was so dominant that, it's like now I'm getting to the point where I'm sorting through and trying to figure out who's that dominant, and that person really needs to go fucking sit down because I got a lot of stuff to clean up. And I noticed that in times of extreme trauma or chaos that goes on and how it affects me, I'm seeing now I have to be the one to stand up. I'm the strong one. I'm the one that bears the weight, but I'm able to keep trucking at the same time, and then and be an influence and strength to other people. And I don't like that. I don't want to be bothered. I want to sleep. I don't want to practice. I don't want to do anything. I want to be like everybody else. And
mm-hmm.
that's never worked for me. I try very hard to be, but I feel like you can't run from when your ancestors are trying to call you into who you are. And when I do, I physically get sick. So
Mm-hmm.
so now I just stopped taking meds. I stopped taking everything and just started talking more and balancing. And it's working because clearing out my system and meditating and starting to reach out to get a sense of like-minded people that are trying to reconnect with who they really are and their ancestors has a lot to do with what's going on with me and understanding who I am and what role I play in this.
Ashe.
I'm feeling so much of what you're saying. I'm sorry. I talk too
No, you're
much, but
good.
yeah, that was the point I was trying to make.
No, that's fine. You don't talk too much at all. We all talk a lot. We Black women, that's what we do. We got a lot to say. Um, Now I do want to say that if you have severe mental health challenges, there's nothing wrong with medication. Okay. Now, if the medication, you talk to your professional, you talk to your therapist, you talk to your doctor. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about in the Hoodoo Labs class, I think it's the next Saturday, I want to talk about um and I'm not saying this out my ass. This is something that professionals in Western medicine are looking into right now. Okay. I want to look at, and I have been wanting to look at this for years because of my own issues, my own challenges. I want to look at the herbal compatibles to a lot of things like Zoloft. Um,
I
what
was
yeah.
just talking about that with a
Mhm.
physician at work. I
Mhm.
was just talking about that because, when people come to you and they ask for the herbal, I was like, well, what are you already taking? Because, you don't want to, for them to combat with each other, but you
Right.
just want to make sure it get them to a point where they need to be. But it's crazy that we're talking about this now because I was
Mhm.
just talking about that.
I'm gonna tell you what helped me a great deal, and everybody's body is different. Everybody's body is gonna react to herbs in a different way, especially psychedelics and things that alter your brain chemistry, or mess with, kind of have you shifting dimensions when you take it. What helped me was microdosing psilocybin and marijuana. Okay, I prefer to eat marijuana in my in food. I like to, make my butter with it and drizzle it on my food that I'm eating for dinner. Or I don't prefer to smoke it. I will smoke it, but my preference is to eat it, and that helps a lot with my anxiety and my depression. The psilocybin helps a lot with my anxiety and depression. Um, the altered state that it puts me in helps me see things from different perspectives. I'm not just seeing it from my position of pain. I'm looking at it as a watcher. For me, that's what it does for me. There's a company right now, a pharmaceutical company is forming right now, that's gonna mass produce psilocybin and make it into pills. They're about to legalize psilocybin. The government is about to legalize it in certain states, I believe. I don't know if it's going to be a federal legalization. I think it might be on a state level, but they're gonna this company is going to be pushing this psilocybin, and I don't even think it's naturally grown. It might be artificial, derived from the plant. I like the plant source personally. But that's one of the things I want to go over in Hoodoo Labs. I'm going to have a therapist there to kind of talk about, some of the side effects of the medication, how sometimes people end up worse, worse off than they were before they started taking it. Um, More depressed once they try to get the drug out of their system. Um, that's why I've been very apprehensive to go get diagnosed and prescribed medication, because I know I have a dependent personality. I can easily lean on something when I feel like it's good for me. Um, so I'd rather not even go down that road. Um, but if I had to, right? If my thoughts were so invasive that I was hurting myself, or thinking of hurting myself, or thinking of hurting other people, I would definitely go on whatever was prescribed for me, and work through my levels. I know Jennifer Lewis talks about that a lot, how she's had to work through her levels and find where she was good, you know half of this day, this whole one every day, that sort of thing. So anyway, we'll get back to the slides. um
I had a story I just wanted to mention, but it really goes back to when you were talking about getting out in nature and not being afraid of the
mhm
bugs. So
mhm
recently, matter of fact, the weekend of Juneteenth, um, I was in a not so great mental place. So I said, you
mhm
know what, today is about elevation of our ancestors. So I went to visit all of my ancestors' graves, and one of them was
mhm
my maternal grandmother, and her grave is unmarked. So I didn't know exactly where it was. Really, the only person who does know is my uncle, my mother's brother. He really knows where it is because he's the one that goes most often. So I just went down there
mhm
on a whim, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk around, the grave site and
mhm
cemetery, try to find it. So I was getting ready to give up because I couldn't find it. I had called my uncle. He's like, I can lead you to it, but I couldn't really pinpoint it. So when I was walking away, one of those little tiny baby red frogs jumped in front of me. And I almost,
mhm
ran away from it. Then I stopped. I was like, okay, why are you just jumping from me like this? What? I said, you know what? I said, I just
mhm
started talking to her. And I said, okay, well, can you lead me to my grandmother? And as soon as I said that, the frog started hopping in the direction where my uncle was saying my grandmother's gravesite was. And I followed the frog
Mm-hmm.
right to my grandmother's gravesite. So I just wanted to share that with y'all,
See?
because I thought, it really just like personally me going out in nature, like I can sit out there, but if stuff start getting too close to me, I get a little antsy. But at that point,
Uh-huh.
it's good to just be at peace, and like you said, just stand still for a minute, and they'll either move
Mm-hmm.
on or lead you to where you need to go.
Right. Right.
I noticed that too. Like I don't go out a lot, and I noticed that I get my body just starting now. I'm paying attention more, so I get physically sick. But when I
Mm-hmm.
get out in nature and when I'm just out, it's a whole nother vibe, and I feel so different. But then I notice birds, a lot of animals will be drawn to me. And at first I would be scared because I'm like, that is an animal. It's got
Mm-hmm.
diseases. So, but now it's like, no, I don't want to leave. I really like this space and I'm intrigued. You fascinate me. I'm not scared. So I noticed that now it's like a lot of birds.
Mm-hmm.
I love birds, but it's like now when I do go out, I just notice that I, it's drawing to me instead of and I'm drawing from it. So I'm finding when I do go out a lot of harmony and people. It's a lot of things in nature are like being drawn to me. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious about that energy. The more I do venture out, because it's like now it's like sitting outside, like I hate being trapped in a house. I need to be out, but I don't know where to go. So I go out and I just drive around and I'm like, I'm out. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna be outside.
I'm gonna tell you where you can go. Every state has a national state park. Wherever you are, there's a state park in your area. You have Teddy Roosevelt to thank for that, but don't thank him for nothing because it's the colonizers' fault that we don't have as much nature as we used to have to begin with. But if you have a state park that's near you, Google what state are you in?
I'm in Missouri. There's actually a couple of them right near my house.
Right near your house. Go out there, okay? Find out where it is. Visit it as often as you can. Take your shoes off and stand barefoot in the grass for at least 15 minutes. If you can stay standing or sit down with just seated directly on the ground, don't you could put a blanket down because it's the same thing. Put a blanket down, sit for a while, and just breathe it in. Breathe all that good air in. Breathe the sound of the birds and the bugs buzzing by your head. Don't swat them. Listen to them. They might have something to say. As long as they don't land on your ear and try to crawl in, they good, right? They not trying to hurt you. You curious, just like they might be curious to you. They curious about you. Who this in here? She don't be in here like this. Let's go buzz next to her, see if she gets scared. They play their games too. And then when they see you don't get scared, then they like, oh, okay, she cool. You know. Um, I know out here where I am, it's a lot of dragonflies back here. And I used to be deathly afraid of dragonflies, especially when I saw how they eat. Oh, I was like, oh my God. But after a while, I sat down and they would come around in swarms. But they were there because the mosquitoes were trying to eat me. And I said, okay, well, they're here to eat. They're not bothering me. They want to take the mosquitoes out. And I don't want no mosquitoes on me. So we could be friends, dragonfly. Right? So me and the dragonflies is cool out back. So, even if you're not able to go out into nature, create, right? The creator of the heavens and the earth um, is a woman. That's just the truth. Okay? It is the womb of space that gives birth to everything that we see here. Get you some art supplies. If all you have is a pencil and some paper,
I was
okay?
just thinking of that, turning my poetry into frameable art. and having this strong pull to go to the arts and crafts store to get stuff like parchment paper and different markers and calligraphy pens and create.
Create, draw, do as much creating as you can, conceive ideas, think of something that you need, a program that you needed when you were a kid that doesn't exist. You know, something
Yeah.
for little neurodivergent girls like myself, people who think abstract, who don't think in a line, who don't think logically, quote unquote. I'm in my feelings constantly. That's my power. I used to get made fun of a lot for being so emotional.
Yeah.
They used to tell me I was quick to tears all the time when I was in my 20s. Sister Larisha, you so quick to tears. You quick to tears. Yes, I'm quick to tears. Don't play with me. Because if I'm quick to tears, I'm quick to emotion. If I'm quick to emotion, I'm quick to intuition. If I'm quick to intuition, I see it coming, right? I
Yeah.
see it for what it is. I see it coming. And, you know, when you're dealing with a hoodoo lady, you don't want to deal with what you see coming, right? You want to deal with
Yeah,
what
I get a
is.
lot of flack for that, and I've been told that I'm too aggressive and too emotional, and I feel like I don't have time for niceties because of what I feel. And what I feel is so strong and it's pulling me literally. And that bothers me. I don't like that feeling. So I have to either say something to you or I have to do something or I have to. I can't be still and not be silent. And the more I'm pushed, the more emotional I get. It's like people are like, they can't handle that. So I've been told, stop crying, stop doing this, stop doing that. You're too emotional, you're too intense, you're too this, you're too much. And it's very frustrating.
Mhm.
So I'm finding like when to turn it down and when to allow that turn up to just go ahead and but not be fearful either way.
Mhm. Okay. Now, I don't know. There's no way for me to necessarily respond to that because everybody's emotions belong to them. In whatever degree that you express it, that's how you express it. That's how you that's your right, right? As an autonomous, free person to express anything however you choose to express it, right? Now, in your expression, are you ever are you pleased with how you express yourself?
Sometimes.
Okay.
A lot of
And
times it's provoked.
a lot of times it's provoked. Okay. Uh who provokes it?
It depends. It really
Like on
depends
what?
who I'm interacting with and whatever we're talking about. If I start to feel get excited or anything, that energy comes out, and it I'm just noticing that the effect it has on people is so intense, and it's I don't know, it just leads to either arguing or misunderstanding, or I have to turn it down. And when I do that, I feel like I'm watering myself down, and it makes me depressed because I don't know who I am. I'm just trying to be me, and it seems like that offends everybody.
Hmm. That's a very non-specific answer. Specifically, who provokes you the most then? Strangers or people you know?
People I know,
Who provokes you the most?
my family.
Like who in your family I'm asking?
Oh,
Who?
my mom, my dad, my parents.
Your parents. Okay. Do you
Yeah.
currently live with them?
No, no.
Okay. Why are they in your space enough to provoke you if you have no
I'm
proximity?
always I'm always around them. I have the grandkids, so it's like there we talk every day, or I'm either down there at the house looking after them about something. They're calling me. I'm constantly, I'm not there, but I'm very present in their life. So that
Okay.
carries over into my interactions with men or other people. So it's like trying to separate and have my own life for myself so that I can interact with people on my own without that baggage. I'm doing that, and I'm just, so now I don't know. I don't know if
Mm.
I feel like I just carry that. And in my dealings with men, it's like that carries over. So I'm very
In what
intense
way?
about everything. If I having a conversation, the way I talk might come across too masculine, and I'm very tomboyish. And it's like, so when I'm up and I'm a spoken word artist. So when I'm getting out there, it's very hard for me to open up because I've been told it's not appropriate. So now people are like, well, you're not ready. You can't do this. And it makes me angry because I'm like, no, this is what I meant to do. I just don't, I'm trying to come out and do this, but there's so much pressure into my image and who to be and how to present myself. It's frustrating. And when I speak on it or when I argue, I come out argumentative, aggressive, and too intense and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, no, I'm just talking to you. Um, I really don't give a fuck about your feelings. I'm trying to communicate, but I'm seeing that it's just, I don't know, my communication skills. I don't know. I'm just too much. I don't know.
Mm.
Let me be
Okay.
quiet. I'm talking too much.
Why you say that?
Because I'm long-winded and I can't, it takes me a minute to get to the point because I'm trying to get everything out. And it's because I've been so brought up to not speak, be quiet, keep stuff under the rug, don't talk. And if I do talk, it's like you're dumb or you don't know what you're talking about, or you're coming across as a know it all, like you know everything. So it's like, I don't know what to say, but when I do open my mouth, like I try to get everything out so I can say it before I have to be quiet again.
It sounds like
No,
you're not surrounded by people who value your your
storytelling.
spirit, your presence, or your image.
Yeah,
Yeah, people
yeah.
don't, but you're around a bunch of people who don't value you, and you got to shift that around. This is the transmutation process.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've recognized that you're constantly silenced in all the circles that you're in, now you have to shift into circles that allow you to speak freely, right? That platforms where you can share your stories and share your truth and inspire others. There are people who are looking for your perspective, right? So when you go through this process of shifting things around and you get from a place of woundedness to a place of healing, where you put that salve on your heart, right? You smooth it in and you let it do its work for a little while. You feel that? I feel it. You smooth it in, you let it do its work, and you get to a place where I know who I am. I know who I am. I love who I am. I'm comfortable here. And anybody and anything that pulls me out of this comfort in me gotta go. They gotta go. Mama, daddy, lover, husband, brother, cousin, uncle, auntie. If you don't settle in with this comfort that I have for me, and you bring me discord, disharmony, and chaos, when I have worked out my circles, waves, and lines, and it's not chaos that I've produced, you got to get the fuck on. You can still be an ally to your parents without maintaining regular proximity to them. You can schedule visits with them after you work on you and do your healing. After you get to a space where when someone comes at you for being you, you could sit back and smile and say, you know what? Here's my boundary. And if you cross it again, I'm not fucking with you no more. Now you think about that. You deal with that. Right? You find out where your boundaries live so that way you can communicate them to people. And when they cross them, you don't feel no kind of way about leaving them in the dust. Because you let them know what the boundary was. This is, and you are not a boundary like a line in the road. You are a boundary like a cliff. You cross over this cliff, you're gonna fall over the edge, and you just might die. That is the type of boundary I am. I am a cliff. Okay, not me personally, but Yolanda. I'm a cliff. This is my boundary. You cross it, you're gonna fall off the edge, and I won't see you again. Not by my hand, but just because you won't have access to me anymore. And sometimes your access is so valuable to people that they would rather respect your boundaries so that they can continue to have access. Okay? So if you do spoken word and they telling you that you can't do what you want to do on the stage, start your own spoken word league.
It's
Right?
the way I feel pressure in presenting myself. It's like they're like, oh, you got to get out of your fear. You got to get out of your stage fright, and then at the same time you gotta be more visually appealing because I'm very tomboyish. So it's like all that girly stuff is I'm like, okay, I get it. I
No,
understand
you don't.
because
You don't have to
this
do
is the
nothing.
first time I've heard this, but
So
I want to do it on my terms. Like I don't want
Right.
to do
do it
it
on
according to what you like. Yeah, I
Exactly.
want to
I
do
was
it
gonna say
in a way that makes me feel comfortable.
find
so
another
fuck you.
spoken word arena,
Mm-hmm.
because all
Right.
of them are not for everybody and they're all not the same. But if they're telling you that you need to present yourself a certain way to be seen at their whatever their establishment is, go to another one that's for you. You go where you feel comfortable. Because I was gonna say, you said it yourself. You're a storyteller. You're a spoken word artist. That's part of you. It's okay that you speak. It's okay that you're long-winded. That's what storytellers do. They tell
Mm-hmm.
you a story, and it's detailed, and that takes time. That's not no quick, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. No, that's the story. You telling the
Mm-hmm.
story. You gotta get it all out in a way that's for you. So find what's for you, and don't try to conform to what somebody else wants you to be for their establishment. Find your tribe. Find your tribe, not what they want you
Right.
to be.
Right. Absolutely. That is the dimension jumping. That is the shifting of energies where you say, this is what my standards are, not expectations, because operating under expectations will always leave you disappointed. You set your standards. This is what I accept, this is what I require, and this is what I need. Okay? So if you can't meet me there with what I require and need and what my standards are, then we have to part ways. That's your assignment this week, Yolanda. Before we get to Hoodoo Labs, is gonna
Mhm.
be, I need you to write in your journal 1 to 99. Number your page, number 1 to number 99. Okay. Everybody could do this. Anybody, any, or I mean, I need to do it too. But from 1 to 99, I need you to set, I need you to write this down. Set your boundaries, set your requirements for yourself, okay, and for others, and set your needs, what I need from myself and what I need from others. Okay. Now, understand that, people are people, right? And a person is not always going to give you everything that you require, nor are they going to give you everything that you need. This is where expectations come in, with how they are so unnecessary, harmful, and unimportant. The expectation needs to be that in the same way that you make mistakes and fall short and have flaws and issues and challenges, other people are also dealing with shortcomings, flaws, challenges, and so on. So as long as you are doing the best for yourself and what you need and what you require, it makes it so much easier to attract people into your life who are also doing that for themselves and have no problem, therefore, helping you and doing that for you. Okay?
Okay. That helps me see people differently. Okay.
Yeah. Also, think about who deserves your energy. Because if we talking about shifting dimensions, shifting circumstances, is fussing at Jessie May from Club Nouveau worth it? Is fussing with her gonna shift dimensions for you in a positive way or a negative way? Is it gonna benefit you to curse this lady out, or is it gonna benefit you to smile and walk away?
Mm-hmm.
Who deserves that level of energy, that level of power from you? Because if Miss Jessie is a person who transmutes energy and you give her that energy freely, she's gonna take it and put it in the bank and turn it into some money. So you just gave her some free energy that she can use for something else. If she's a person like me who's going to take all the negative that you've given to her and turn it into opportunities, right? She's not worth your currency. That's how energy is currency. Energy is more important than money, because with the right energy, you're going to get the money anyway. Okay? All right, let me get back into this presentation because I'll go on and on forever. All right. All right. So we established we all wear the mask. Now I am encouraging every one of us to take the mask off. Even if you think you don't got one, you got it somewhere. All right. Surviving versus thriving. How I released my representatives from the driver's seat. Y'all can write this down if you want to. I can send you these slides if you like. Um,
Yeah, please send the slides. It's great. Better to have them. I like to use them as references.
okay. The way I stopped, um, how I encouraged my representative to leave the driver's seat, because I stopped doing things that I didn't like doing. All right, that's first and foremost. If I didn't want to do it, I just stopped doing it. The first thing I wanted to stop doing was code switching. Okay, I hate code switching. I used to have the whitest of white voices on the phone when I was talking to people at Duke Energy or Verizon or wherever, because I wanted to get my needs met, right? But I hated doing it, so I just stopped doing it. Say, you know what? They're gonna get the real me, and I'm still gonna get what I want, and I did. I haven't had a problem since I stopped code switching, not really. Two, Started calling on my ancestors to reveal themselves to me. One of the things that keeps us in a state of not recognizing our energy and our power is having that disconnect from our people. So I started literally calling on my ancestors, asking them to show me themselves and what they wanted and needed from me and what they wanted and needed for me. Okay. 3, I started trusting their messages for my life. If they said move, I moved. If they said do something, I did it. If they said not to do something, I stopped doing it. Um, if they told me somebody was trash, I trusted them. And then it came out later that them people might have been trash, right? Um, I spoke straight words no matter who or what. Remember how I told y'all that tell them what they want to hear energy was what I was burdened with. I burdened myself with it. Um, that manipulator, that all of those energies in me that made it impossible or difficult for me to be honest about my feelings and be honest about, how I felt about things. I worked through that. I let myself feel the fear and I said exactly how I felt, even though I was afraid to. And I did it so much that I stopped being afraid to speak my truth. Practice makes perfect. Okay. This is not something that you just jump into. It's something that you fake until you make. You start creating the circumstances to make it comfortable for you to be your real self, right? Hold on one second. I think this is my people coming back. Yep. Okay. Developed a code for my archetypes. The manipulator, the doormat, the people pleaser, and the egoist being the most harmful of them all. And not necessarily harmful to others, but harmful to myself, right? That manipulator archetype, people are not stupid, right? People are smarter than I would give them credit for. Thinking that I'm getting over, that I'm using my words and my persona, right? My representative to make them believe something when I was just trying to get what I needed from the situation or from the person, right? So the code I had to develop for the manipulator, because my archetypes are not so easily just sent away, right? I can't just say, all right, I'm going to just stop being a manipulator. Hold on one second. You can say it. Where y'all going? Yeah, that's fine. They can go with you. They want to go with you anyway. All right. Did you bring me back food? Dad, go on. All right, but give me one of them. So people know. They know when they're being manipulated by you. So it's best to just be honest and be on the up and up. Speak straight words. Be a straight shooter. Say what you need. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You have fun, baby? Yes. Why you got makeup on? Because that's what I do. Okay. Y'all wanna come down here? The doormat. The doormat had to go. I had to literally slay the doormat. She had to go. I had not slay her. That's not fair. No, I didn't. I told her that she was more than just a person that needed to do for others. Um, I told her that she is a goddess. I gave her a shape and a form and stood her up and let her fly. So I literally cannot go back to that, expressing that archetype again. You can leave the door open. Um, the egoist. Okay. The thing about ego, new age movements like to have us thinking that we have to kill the ego. I don't think that the ego is something that needs to be killed. I think the ego is something that needs to be understood and recognized. Ego is our protector. It literally front faces when someone is challenging us to the point where They're challenging our being or who we believe to be our being. And they're standing up for us and letting people know, look, no, you ain't going, this is how you will not deal with or handle me, right? And some people's egos have run amok, right? Their ego is not only in the driver's seat, it's running over the median, it's crashing in the trees, it's running over the edge of the bridge. Like, so what you want to do is rein your ego in and recognize the instances that it's flaring up to protect you. Why are you protecting me just because somebody told me I spelled something wrong? That this is my issue. That was my issue with my ego. Why are you flaring up to protect me just because somebody has on a pair of shoes that I wanted? That is that jealousy archetype. Are you am I? And then I had to sit with that. Am I even a jealous person? Everybody gets jealous sometimes, right? No, some people don't. Some people do, but you do apparently. What are you gonna do with that? Right? So now I have to deal with my own self love. Now I have to front face with my self love and how I see myself, what I deserve and what I need, and how it has nothing to do with what the next person has. I can smile and admire and be happy for them and not be jealous and be completely fulfilled and content with me and what I have and who I am. Right? So these are the things you have to figure out when you're dealing with self. This is how you transmute your archetypes. You confront the uncomfortable parts that you don't like to pay attention to. Okay. 6, I introflected to recall when these archetypes developed in the first place so I could heal the root traumas associated with them. Right. So this people pleaser slash doormat archetype developed for me out of childhood. Um, when I was a little girl, I was very mean. I was sweet and, kind and caring, but for people who were, who I didn't like or who rubbed me the wrong way or who I felt were bullies or they were mean, I knew that I could be double mean. I could be meaner than they could ever be. So I would just be mean to them. And these were people who were well liked by others and, you know, just adults, right? And well liked children. And I would be very, very mean to them. And my mother would try to correct that. Like, you can't just go around hitting people or talking disrespectfully to people. You have to, be sweet and kind and caring and, helpful. And if you get mad, don't say nothing. If you feel away, just tell me. If you are attacked, don't attack them back. Just tell the teacher or let me know and I'll handle it. I'll take care of it, right? So I noticed that the more I did what she asked me to do and what she wanted me to do, the more I got things that I wanted, the more I got things that I needed. And this is also where the manipulator was born. I mean, a lot of children are manipulators anyway, but this is where it took root in me and grew leaves and bore fruit, right? So for you, when you write your archetypes down, right? When you write these things down, you want to ask yourself, when did this come about in me? Is this something passed down from my grandmothers and grandfathers, or is this something I developed to protect me in my youth? Okay. Number 7, I developed or adopted a grounding mantra or saying. Okay. Um, my old one, when I first started on this journey back in 2012, comes from a Jadakiss and Styles P song. And Jadakiss said, I ain't shit, but at least I know it. So, because I knew I had to deal with that perfectionism and that, people pleasing and wanting to be right all the time and wanting to do good all the time, in order to combat the need to do that, I started saying that all the time. Every morning when I woke up, I would go in the mirror and I would say, I ain't shit, but at least I know it. And I said that a few years ago to a friend of mine, and she said, stop saying that. You don't need to say that. She told me, I don't think you ever needed to say that. And I told her, well, it helped me a lot. It helped me, front face myself and deal with myself. And she said, well, that's good, but you need to stop saying it. So I stopped saying it because it's not that I ain't shit. I had unhealed traumas and I was working on getting my shit together, right? And now that I got my shit more together than I had it before, I'm still far from where I know I need to be. That projection that I created from my doormat archetype, I know that that is where I'm not that that is where I'm trying to get. I created that in order to get out of the doormat state. Now I have to be fully in myself, fully embody who I am right now and continue to develop from here, right? Um there is no outside person that is the goal. There's only me here and now, right? So one of the other assignments for me too this week, which we'll talk about in the next class, is what is your grounding saying? What is your grounding mantra? So that you can always come back to yourself. So that you can always come back internally and really see yourself for the being that you are, for the person, the human, the growing thing, the organic matter, the part of this universe that you are. Okay? 8, spent all my free time in nature for a year. Quite literally, spent all my time in nature from the age of about, well, right before my 26, no, from 26 to 27. I spent all my time outdoors, all my free time outside. And even if I wasn't like in some grass, I was outside at a swimming pool. I was in my apartment complexes, like green space. Most apartment complexes have some greenway somewhere. I was in the graveyard, the really big graveyard near my neighborhood. I would go out there so I could walk around and commune with the spirits. Um, I was there because also at the time I was told that my crowning orisha was I was told by a priestess of Yemonja at the time that my crowning orisha was Oya, Mama Oya or Yansa, and she is the keeper of the graveyards or the cemetery. So I spent a lot of time there because that was the energy I was trying to embody. I was trying to embody the energy of my orisha and fully step into that. So I was outside constantly all the time. I was in the library. I was checking out books and going to sit outside on the ground. I was in the state parks. Get outside. Outside is where you find yourself. Inside is where you find or settle into a lot of our challenges and issues, right? Being around computers, television, constantly getting messages from the world that reinforce the feeling that we are not good enough, especially as Black women. Okay? Everything we see in this world or in media and in music tells us that we are not enough as our free, wild selves. We have to fit a box, we have to fit a mold, we have to fit expectations, and being out in nature lets you know that you don't have to do any of that. None of that. Okay? 9, integrated and loved on all myself and asked each one what they needed to make sure I was complete, whole, and fulfilled. All right? Even your uncomfortable archetypes are a part of yourself. They were born out of your trauma, they were born out of your fun, they were born out of your protection, and they're all necessary. But they all have to also evolve. Okay? Let's see. Where we at? Okay. Ground and release. Some grounding techniques to help you get into the frame of mind to transmute energy, to literally go from one state to the next, include meditation, which I know a lot of us find very difficult. I can't tell you how many times I suggest meditation to classes and people be like, oh, that's so hard. I can't empty my mind. But what if I told you there's a way to meditate without necessarily emptying your mind? We're going to go over that in the very last slide. Um, Meditation, stretch. I'm going to tell you a story. I was at my children's grandmother's house, right? And she told me that um someone that someone was about to call me to gather some information from me, and for me to, depending on, she said, I think they trying to do X, Y, and Z. If you want to give them the address, that's on you, but just know that that's what they trying to do with your address. And so I immediately became like crippled with anxiety. Like, somebody's about to attempt to manipulate me? Are you crazy? That's my thing. Ain't nobody about to manipulate me, right? So I went in the room upstairs and I was pacing. I was pacing because I was mad as a rattlesnake. And then I sat down. I sat down and I said, I can't be in this state when this person reaches out to me. I need to calm down. So I sat on the floor and I stretched until it hurt. I stretched myself out more than I had since I was a kid. I stretched so good, it hurt. And it took me from anxiety to full presence in my body, full, complete presence in my body. And even though what they were calling me for wasn't even nothing that bad, at the moment, it was so dramatic for me that I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God. So I got out my head and into my body just like that. Okay. So when they called and they were hitting me with the, the sweet voice and the manipulation voice, I hit them right back with it. I mirrored them. And I could tell in their voice that they weren't quite sure what to do with that. And it made me feel good in the moment, even though it was all, like, oh, whatever. It wasn't even that serious. It still made me feel good because I was able to take myself from one frame of mind to another. Okay. Um, this is why a former friend of mine called me a chameleon, because I'm able to take on the shape and color and nuance of the environment that I'm in. Okay. Um, Transmutation is a tool and it's a skill, right? And I am by no means a master of it, but I do know how to get myself I know how to get myself out of a bind, because I know how to see people, because I know how to see myself. Okay? I can see myself, so I'm more able to see others. And in seeing others, I know how to move. I know how to move and how to get that energy into a state of what I need it to be. Okay? Chanting. Chanting is, you know what chanting is. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, or I don't remember the Sufi chants my homegirl used to do, but chanting is a good way to take yourself from one frame of mind to the next. You can create sounds that feel good to you, that feel good in your body, right? One thing I used to do when I first got in my own space, I was directed on what herbs to take, but I wasn't directed on exactly how to take them or how to use them. I know I was told to put them in a bowl, and I know I heard something about water. I thought I was supposed to gargle with it, but they wanted me to put it in my bath water and not my cup of water. So my first spiritual bath was actually a gargle. I know that sounds crazy, but I put all these herbs into my cup, put the water in the cup, and I would put the water in my mouth and gargle, going, ah. I would do that note clear for as long as I could. Spit the water out, put it back in my mouth, and gargle it doing that sound again. Okay? This became my chant. And this would set the energy for the rest of the day. I didn't understand at the time in the moment that I needed to put it in my bath water. I was just told to put it in water. And I thought, since it's in a cup and it's in water, gargle it. But they eventually I got the message to put it in my bath water and take a bath with it. Spinning. You remember being a kid and standing up in the outside and just spinning around till you got real dizzy, till you fell on the floor. You are not too big to do that. Okay? That is, when you in a very stressful state of mind, spinning will literally take you from that state of stress to a state of serenity and calm. At least to where you can think from another perspective, another side of the scenario. Okay? Running. When I was in college, I remember one night me and some friends were drinking, and I don't know what came over us. We decided to go outside and race. And this was like close to graduation, close to the end of the year, the end of the school year. And we're all outside, and I was feeling really, really stressed out because I knew, I wasn't going to graduate. It was the end of the year. All my friends would graduate, and I was in like a severe depression. We went outside and ran, and I'm pretty sure it had to do with the alcohol. But from that time, when I was feeling stressed, I would get out and just run. Running is also a meditation. The rhythm of your feet hitting the pavement, watching your feet hit the pavement, um, the bounce, the motion, walking as well. Any type of exercise that includes rhythm and repetitive motion. Self pleasure. We don't give masturbation the credit that it deserves. Um, it is one of it is a form of self care for me. Um, Reaching that state of orgasm and release, it literally brings those endorphins to, it gets those hormones going, those happy hormones, that burst of joy, right? And if you do that without following it up with other things that bring you happiness and joy and peace, it's just a moment of pleasure, and then you're back into your depression, you're back into that dimension that you're trying to get out of. But if you combine these 3 or 4 at a time, 4 and 5 at a time, all of them together, you can literally train your body and your mind to be in a constant state of gratitude and joy and pleasure. Okay? Earthing, putting your feet, your butt, your head, laying getting your body out into the ground, out into the dirt, gardening, planting flowers, planting trees. Um, all of that is a good way to get that, how we talked about last week, getting your frequency matched to the frequency of the earth and your vibration matched to the vibration of the earth, right? Earthing does that. Ocean dip. Go out into the ocean, not just ankles deep. Go out waist deep. Go out shoulder deep, right? Go out into the water. Or if you're afraid to go out into the water, at least get to where your knees are there and lay in the water. Put your hair in the water. Get yourself in that ocean. All right? We are earth people, but we are also water people. All right? The ocean is our home. The ocean is where we connect to the diaspora. That's where we connect to the rest of our people. That's where we connect to the rest of our ancestors. We are not just from here. Many of us have ancestors who were indigenous to America. We also have ancestors who were indigenous to Africa, ancestors who were indigenous to the Caribbean, to South America, some of us. right? All over the globe, all over the planet, right? My ancestors came from Togo, all right? They were also here in America. They were also in Barbados, right? They came from Togo into Barbados and then into the Americas, right? Into South Carolina. So, just making sure that we are connecting to that ocean energy as well. And fire gazing. All right. If you have an oil lamp, lighten it up on a regular basis and just sitting there and watching the fire. If you have a big backyard, get you some firewood and put you some fire sticks down and light it and sit there and just gaze at the fire. See what messages the fire has for you. Okay. Um, all right. We're gonna do some meditation today. Okay. People be like, meditation is hard, right? People be like, I can't hear my ancestors. I don't hear them talking to me, right? But you don't know how to clear your thoughts or focus your thoughts so that you can hear them. You don't breathe deep enough for your brain to get the oxygen that you need, right? In your head, there's a lack of oxygen. So your senses are off in both the physical and the spiritual world, right? Um, your mind is running a mile a minute, so you can't listen to anything except all the thoughts that are constantly going in your brain, right? You say, I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how. Well, I'm going to teach you how right now. All right. List of mental states. When you are meditating, as you're breathing, you want to breathe in love, pleasure, and flow. Okay? When you're breathing in, I want you to focus on the three words love, pleasure, and flow. Okay? And when you breathe out, I want you to release anxiety, pain, rage, resentment, guilt, jealousy, worry. Y'all know what FOMO is? Who knows what FOMO is? Y'all there?
No, I don't know what that is. Or
Okay.
if I've heard it before, I don't remember.
FOMO is fear of missing out, right?
Okay, well, we do know what that is.
FOMO is fear of missing out. We just had a long talk earlier about how we didn't get to live our teens and 20s the way we quite wanted to, right? Something we missed out on because our parents forced us into one direction that we didn't want to go in. Stop worrying about that. Release that if you haven't yet. It is what it is. And you now have the power to shift it into whatever you want it to be. Okay? So the words I want you to focus on when you're breathing in are love, pleasure, and flow. Okay? Some other mental states include forosket, which is the electric feeling of falling in love, of that first feeling you get when you get them butterflies in your stomach, your body is tingling and glowing and buzzing. That's what forosket is. Grand Jai, the feeling of dread when somebody is about to willingly help you, even though you know you about to put them in a hassle. Like, oh, I know they about to be hassled by helping me, but I appreciate the help. But that dread is that Grand Jai. Okay. Pena Ajena, that secondhand embarrassment. Your homegirl just bust her ass, you embarrassed for her, and you feel it just like she feel it. That's Pena Ajena. Koi no Yokan, that is when you first meet someone and you just hearing them talk and you looking at their eyes and their lips and they smile and you like, damn, I really could just fall in love with you. That's Koi no Yokan. Okay. The key to transmutation is getting in cahoots with your feelings and emotions. Okay. They aren't your boss. They are not to lead you, but they are guides and they are allies to help you understand your environment better. They are your pathway to deepening your intuition and your ability to hear the messages coming from the other side so that you better know how to direct your energy and the energy being offered to you from other people. Okay? Um, Imani, can you read this for me on the screen?
Uh, our little faces are in the way. Give me 1 second. Move that over. Okay. Your emotions are powerful. Logic versus emotion is a conversation rooted in patriarchy that is meant to disconnect people from our intuition. In order to practice alchemy, you have to be tapped into your emotions, feelings, and mental state.
Okay. I get so sick of seeing people talk about how, oh, women are so emotional. Oh, you're so emotional. You got to tap into your logic. You got to be more logical. No, I don't. I don't have to be more logical. First, I have to honor my emotions so that I know how to move. And then after I know how to move, I can logically apply a solution. Okay? I can use logic, but I'm going to flow with my emotions. I'm not flowing with my logic. I'm going to use logic to help me solve a problem. But first, I have to know how this problem is affecting me. How is it making me feel? Okay? Transmutation. Somebody is giving you the evil eye. Transmute that shit. Somebody going off on you and it's too much to take in. Beat their ass. Then transmute that shit. Are you allowing harmful archetypes to run your show? Offer them rest and transmute slash alchemize that energy into something useful and beneficial for you. Then teach the skill to your children. Okay? These are skills that our babies need. They need to know how to transmute energy, how to go from a state of utter sadness and despair to joy and peace. And kids are way better at it than us, right? They feel their feelings. They gonna cry for a little bit, then they gonna get up and go play. We need to take a page from them and learn from them doing how they do. Okay, so for the next 5 minutes, I want y'all to put everything down. Watch this screen in a comfortable seated position. All right. This is how you meditate. What are the words, the 3 words that we're focusing on during this meditation?
Love, pleasure, and flow.
Love,
Pleasure.
pleasure, and flow. You're going to focus on, you're going to think on the words love, pleasure, and flow. And when you breathe out anxiety, depression, sadness, unsurety, anything that you need to breathe out, let it go. You don't even have to focus on anything when you're breathing out. Just focus on that love, pleasure, and flow when you're breathing in, okay? All right, let's go. Mm. All right. I don't know about y'all, but I was looking real crazy doing that breathing. I'm sitting over here like, that's serious, looking crazy. But yeah, like the key to transmutation is knowing yourself. Okay. If you don't get nothing out this class, know that the key to transmuting any energy is knowing your own, honoring your energy, honoring your whole self, even in the process of uncovering yourself, loving every minute of that uncovering and discovery process. All the selves that you are right now, you have to honor and love all those selves in order to transmute anything. Who am I? What energy do I embody? What energy do I emit? And what energy do I attract? Okay. Any questions?
No, that was very earthing or and grounding. That was really nice. And even because I have my son here watching his anime and all of that stuff. So even with all that stuff going on in the background, it was like it got you so in tune with yourself. I forgot what boy was even here.
That's the key. That is the end result of transmutation. The end result of transmutation is I'm so in my shit. Anything around me, anything coming at me, anything coming to me is transmuted or turned into something I can use, something I can feel good in. I'm in me fully and completely. I'm so in me that anything you got for me is going to be used for me, right? I'm going to use it for me. That's how much I love me. All right. So go
I
forth.
feel like a clarity, like as the breathing coming in, breathing in, and at one point I started to kind of like lose focus, but then just kind of breathing back in, listening to the music, and just settling back in. Afterwards, I feel less foggy mentally.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm telling you, part of our problem, especially here in America, is that we don't breathe deeply enough. Our bodies are not getting the oxygen that it needs or that it deserves. And if you want to be a energy master, you have to master this physical as well. What the body needs, master that first. My body needs food, water, pleasure, joy, right? Shelter, clothing, sometimes, right? These are the things that we need. So find out what your needs are. Find out, what brings the best out of you. What brings out the best energy you have available, right? Some things that bring out the worst energy you have available are also useful though, right? Because when you're facing a challenge, like let's say you have an enemy, a nemesis, an enemy, a person who is offering you enemy energy, right? They might not even be an enemy, they're just offering you enemy energy. What are you going to do with that enemy energy when it comes to you, right? For people who bring that conflict to you, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to match that energy so they can in turn use your shit? Or are you going to pull it in and use it for something until they done giving it to you freely, right? That's a decision you make for your own self on your transmutation journey, because it looks different for everybody. But for every single person on this planet, in this universe, you have to know your energy first. All right. So I love y'all. Thank you for coming. We've been on here 11, 12, 1. Good. 2 hours, 18 minutes. I feel like we did good. So no questions. Everybody's good.
Yes,
I just
I'm
got some
good.
quick commentary because I was silent through a lot of this because I just like I'm a person who just like to listen. I mean, I can do a lot of talking, but I like to sit back and listen and watch and hear other people's stories. But I won't gonna come up on here today. Won't even I can't even get no real good reason. Just me just being me. And then I was like, I was reading, I was like, no, you said you were going to push yourself. You said you were going to do this. But one of the main things that I got on here was I was reading the description of what today's class was going to be on. And the last one, it was like the loss of friendships and stuff like that. And I was I'm still dealing with not being in one of my former friends' lives. It's been a few years right now, and I did. They just don't want nothing to do with me. And I've been trying to find ways to still get over that. And then I was like, when I'm just in the class, I was just like, this is just really just going back to you. Like everything you feel like you need from this person is just really just going back to you. So like I'm glad that I did what I had to do to get up on here, even with technical difficulties. And I'm just really appreciative, you know.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy you came. I know I don't usually like harp, if somebody say they coming and they come or don't come, whatever. But for everybody who said that they were coming today, I reached out who on scholarship. I reached out and was like, "Hey, class is at 11." I know how important this was for me, for the things that I was dealing with. And I was dealing with a lot of loss, heartache, rejection, uh, not understanding myself, not knowing who I was, not accepting myself for who I was. All this stuff helped me. It helped me so much. And I said, I know that this is going to be a bomb for other people. Right. And I that's why I'm like, I really need y'all in here. So I'm so happy to hear that you got something out of it. Um, take everything that you learned here and it's an ongoing process. It doesn't stop. Transmutation is not something you do one time. It's something you do every single day. Every day you have to be working through something, right? Until you don't anymore. And when you don't anymore and you have successfully brought everything into flow for you, then you just flowing. It's easy. It's just coasting from there, right? For me, I'm trying to transmute some ducats, some dollars. And I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen because I have the peace of mind and the self-awareness and the self-acceptance and the self-love. Now I need the money, right? So I'm working on getting that part of things into flow for myself. So we're all transmuting every day, right? The wealthiest person is transmuting, right? Because they got a lot of shit they working on. You can't judge your walk by somebody else's yardstick. You develop your yardstick and then you measure yourself based on where you gotta be. Okay, so y'all have a good rest of the day. I love y'all, and I will see you next
Sis,
Saturday.
where did you say we could read the book, The Kabbalah?
Kabbalion, um,
Kabbalah.
you can it's downloadable. Let me give you a link right now in the chat. Hold on.
I thought I did, but I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. Got it
And the
straight.
pendulum practice with the questions is something to do every day with meditation, correct?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day, every day, every day. Maybe we'll do I'll offer a meditation class to show you other ways to meditate. But that right there is probably the easiest way to start. Breathing, deep breathing, guided breathing. Um I used to do visualizations a lot too. Do y'all want me to share some visualizations with you too? Because I could do that.
Sure.
All
I'm
right, let me go
down
get
for
some
it.
water. Hold tight. I'll be right back. Mm.
While she's doing that, Iman, I just want to say I appreciate you sharing, your story with us in the end, because I know I did notice that you weren't talking as much, but I appreciate you sharing what you had to share at the end.
Yeah, I just feel like not that people have more to say than I do. It's just like I know people don't get a lot of the time to have that place to share. So I was like, let the folks share. Like, I mean, I'm gonna get whatever I get regardless out of it. So, and then like when Yolanda was talking about how like she just would every time she talked, she was just like, "Well, I'm talking too much." I was like, I get that all the time because once I get to going, it's just an ongoing thing because I'm a rambler, so I know I could correlate this and this and this to this to this to this, and you'll just be like, "Girl, what were we talking about in the beginning?" And so I was just like, we get it. You're supposed to express yourself. But recently I was on Instagram and they was like, you have never fully communicated a day in your life. And they was just saying like, no matter how much you feel like you are effectively communicating, that person's filter will always be different than yours. And it's just like, it made me realize like, okay, as long as you get your key points in, you can't make this person get what you're saying. You just have to express it and hope that it correlates and it relates as much as possible.
Don't stop talking. Keep going.
Oh
girl.
no, I was actually it was just it.
I had to get some sparkling water because I ran out of bottles. Did you understand the word I just said?
No, I was really done.
Oh no, okay, no. I'm glad you talked. I know Imani. Listen, Imani is a deep sister. She knows a lot. She's very highly intuitive, and she's been like that since she was a little girl. I remember she was very observant when we were younger. She used to do a lot of watching. And I'd be like, why you so quiet? You ain't even quiet. Why you fronting? I remember I said that to her one time. She probably don't even remember that. But she's very observant, and she sees things. She's a seer. She has the gift, and she will also read you right quick if she needs to. That's my baby. I love her. And I'm so honored to have her here today because watching you grow from baby girl to right now, it's just so good for me to see. I'm just so happy to see how just the woman you've become.
Yeah. That little Muslim girl, she's still somewhere in here, but she
had to take the seat to the back.
She definitely had to go to the back. That's what we was talking about. That I was like, it was like, yeah, who do you want to take the front seat? I was like, the villain. And then I was like, people see the villain as the bad guy. I was like, no, the villain usually has the most interesting story, and usually the person really that's trying to get the right program together. It just don't correlate with everything else, but they don't care. That's the thing. I was like, we going with the mission.
Thank you.
Like, so that's
the villain has a goal.
A goal,
right? The villain has a goal, and they not letting nobody stop their flow. The hero is the one who's trying to maintain the status quo usually.
I'm over that.
Yeah, I'm through with that.
I really appreciate you sharing what you felt about your friend, because I had a best friend for 27 years and we fell out, and she just stopped talking to me, but it was around the murder of her niece. And she just, all these emotions and things she held in came out about her feeling that I wasn't a good best friend. So I've been dealing with that, because now that I'm in doing the spoken word and stuff, she was the one that tried to get me to push me out on there. So I'm like, hey, I got a book out. But I don't have that to share with her. So it hurt. It hurt a lot. So I can really understand how you feel But it gets better because then you just appreciate that person's influence. And she had a very strong influence with my being pursuing holistic and hoodoo and all of that. Be so it wasn't all bad. So you got to take the good with the bad, but learn from, the mistake of, yeah, I'm a hermit. And she's the type that needed to be fed so much attention that at the time I couldn't give because I'm trying to get myself together. So, all things work out and it'll get better. But I thank you for sharing that because I was dealing with that. So this class has really helped me to be able to not be so hard on myself for losing out on valuable relationships, but then being receptive to new ones.
Ashe.
I appreciate that. I wish mine was over a falling out. It was more of we have been crossing boundaries, and as you get older, like you when you want to move on with your life, sometimes the person you cross boundaries can't come with you, and it was one of
Yeah.
those things. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. It happens. And it hurts when it happens.
it hurts. That was like when the person say like they were my everything, and you be like, oh yeah, da da. I was like, it was at a point of time where I was not talking to my family. I didn't have really no other friends like that. It's hard to relate. Period. And this is a person who was with me, since I was 15 until 20s. So it was just like that person that constantly, gave you butterflies. I had never experienced like a consistent years and years, not even with like people who I was in actual relationships with. I had never
Mm-hmm.
had that feeling of like just pure out love. So
Mm-hmm.
losing that type of love in just such a in a lot of ways, I wish it would have been a blow up because it would have been easier to be like, oh, we just had a falling out. It was really just one of those things of I don't feel like you should be in my life anymore, and it's not the same anymore, and I'm trying to move forward, and I feel like if you were going to be here, I'm not going to be able to move forward, and I just
It
had to
was,
respect that.
yeah. Do you feel like it was codependency?
In a lot of ways, I feel like in a lot of our beginnings, we bonded over trauma, and then it we transmuted that into something more, and then in a ways I just felt like I don't know. Would I like to say that when we first met, it was like we were exes already. Like we know we ain't supposed to be together, but that love is there. It was there from the beginning, and it always had
Mm-hmm.
been. It's not one of those people you don't really have to say too much to, or you could just talk all day, and it's fallouts. You get back, we right back.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those, and it's just like to me, I probably was dependent more than him. Uh, but in a lot of ways, I would say it was an even exchange, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but it was one of those like comfort. It was just like, okay, my mom
Mm-hmm.
said that that was home for both of us. We use each other's home.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta move out.
Yeah. Well, if you need anything moving forward, as far as release goes, because release is also a part of transmutation, right? Um, there are ways that you can, ritual that you can do as well to release that from your body if you need to. Cord cutting work that you can do, certain baths that you can take, ingredients that you can put in your bath to help with releasing and cutting that cord for yourself too. Not, just cord cutting work is not just for the other person to release you. It is also for you to release them. Um, you want to get you some black walnut hull powder, like the shell of the black walnuts. Um, if you live near a walnut tree, you can just pick them right off, or you can order some black walnut hull powder. I'll write it in the chat. Black walnut hull powder, some sea salt and limes. Okay. Um, put some cinnamon in there as well for yourself for sweetness. Um, and when you get in the bath, you want to, there's a prayer. I'll give you the prayer. I'll put it in the chat and you can copy paste it. Y'all know that the Holy Spirit was always a woman, a feminine principle, a feminine power, a feminine energy. When they talk about the Holy Trinity in Christianity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit that breathed on the waters at the beginning of Genesis was a feminine, a female, not female, but a feminine energy. Um, I don't know. I thought I just wanted to say that because it's in the prayer, but I'm writing it right now. Big mamas and big papas, through the power of the Holy Spirit, go back, go into my memory as I sleep. Heal every hurt that has been done to me. Heal every hurt that I have caused another. If there's any suffering caused by my hand that I am not aware of, please bring it to my awareness. I choose to forgive myself. Hold on. Bring me clear messages in the ways I can fully comprehend. Is that the one? No, that's not the one. Maybe here. Here we go. There it is. Remove all guilt, shame, and fear from my body and replace the empty spaces with your love and protection. Bring me clear messages in the ways I can fully comprehend. In this truth, I breathe easy. Ashe. All right. Copy and paste that. When you take this bath, I want you to say this prayer out loud 9 times. Okay? You gonna do it? All right. I'm gonna put the ingredients. All right.
I'm gonna do that. I think it's time to release that.
Get a whole lime, cut it in half, and squeeze the juice directly into your bath water. Submerge yourself fully in the water. Okay. Some people, this is the way I was told by my ancestors to take my bath. Other people will tell you that you have to put everything in a bowl and then pour it over your head and then get out the water and air dry. I put it in my bath water because I want to sit in it for a while. Okay. And then I submerge my whole body into the bathtub. And then I step out and I lay my towel on my bed and I lay back and I air dry. You do want to air dry. You don't want to dry it off. You want the herbs to literally sink into your skin and heal you from the outside in. Okay. Um, as above, so below, right? Black walnut hull powder clears out any parasites from your body when you eat it, when you ingest it. So it's literally clearing out any parasitic energies or entities that live on your field that are feeding off of your pain. Okay. Um, it also helps with cutting the cord, with cutting the energy that connects you to someone. Okay. Um, so you take that bath, you say that prayer 9 times in the water, step out, air dry, and do your pendulum, do your protocol, do your breathing exercises, release it, cry it out. Crying is healing, crying is cathartic. There is nothing wrong with crying. It's necessary. You have to do it. If you hold everything in, it makes you it disconnects you from expressing and feeling. Nothing's coming in and nothing's going out when you hold your tears in. Okay. Um, yeah, that's it. We'll go over meditation next week. I'm tired. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go get the children and Charlotta said, yep, I started crying during the meditation. Yeah. You have to cry. You have to let yourself release. Them deep breathing shits will get you to crying. Cause you holding it in your gut. You holding it all in your belly. And when you taking it into your belly and pushing it out, it's gonna come out in other ways too. And crying is one of them.
Yeah, seeing her wiping, I was like, oh, oh.
You gotta let
we
it out.
going.
You gotta let it out. You got to let it out. If you don't let it out, it's gonna come out. Okay? And if it don't come out at a convenient time, it's gonna come out at an inconvenient one, and you're gonna be embarrassed. And that's okay too. Okay? So release, 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 so you can transmute. All right? Get in league with your feelings, get in league with your emotions. The fourth question that I did not give y'all, um, this is what I want y'all to think about too. When have I noticed my ego flaring up to protect me? What does it protect me from? Why am I triggered by the things my ego protects me from? Okay? Trace it back. Trace it all the way back to your childhood. Trace it back to as far as you can. The first time I felt like I needed to protect myself, right? Why did I buck up? That buck up, that's the ego, right? That condescending tone, that's the ego, right? Somebody's trying to test your gangster. So you gave them something to work with, right? So, find out why you're triggered by these things that your ego's flaring up to protect you from. All right? Transmutation. Go read the book, download it. I just sent you the link. Read all the chapters. Read up on rhythm, right? Rhythm, usually that's something that comes very natural to us. We don't got to worry too much about it, right? Um, Read up on polarity, read up on causation, read up on gender, okay? All of it. Get into it. Understand once again for the second time, everything and everyone is non-binary. We exist on a full spectrum. We are full spectrum beings. There is no, we are not more anything than the other. We are varying degrees of all of it. So I love y'all, and I will see y'all next Saturday.
Love you too.
Thank
Peace.
you. Love y'all too.
Thank you. See you next week.